Yo, what's up? My name is Patrouski. With event season over, all of the limited time stuff in Pokemon has finally passed. I can hop back on the main account and focus on money-making guides and just seeing what's happening for the average Pokemon player. And, oh, fuck. I forgot that the last time I played on my main account, I left myself with 6 boxes of Pokemon that all needed to be price-checked, listed, and sold. I was preparing for the event season, I was working on the Iron Man account, I had all these things going on, and I thought, you know what, that'll be a future Patrouski problem. The problem is, now future Patrouski is here. And before I want to make any guides or good content with the main account, I want to go ahead and actually clean my main account so I can show you guys what a good account or decent account should hopefully look like. So, what do you say we go ahead and get started selling off some of these Pokemon and see what hidden gems are hiding in these boxes? Now, showing you guys a little bit of this process is going to do 2 different things. Number 1, it's going to help me relearn the economy and see what prices are at, as well as hopefully show you guys how a veteran player goes about price checking stuff. But keep in mind, once again, I have to relearn a lot of things. So the first thing I would go about doing is selling off this Altaria. You might be tempted to check that defense IV first, but this Altaria does have hidden ability access. I don't know right now if hidden ability access Altarias or Swablu's are in any demand. It seems like the cheapest one is about 4K, which is something to consider. Swablu's are dirt cheap, 2K, so it seems like that hidden ability is not super relevant. Then after that, you would go ahead and go check the IV and go over to the A group, something like I believe Dragon. You can always check in the Pokedex, of course. I believe, yep, Altaria is Flying and Dragon. It is also a female, so you want to go by cheapest. Flying defense A group mons, very, very cheap right now. If you want to double check as well, you can always hide female only species, and we can also go double check Dragon, which hopefully should be a little bit more. Not a whole lot of Pokeyen right now, but it's still, every little penny counts. So I would go ahead and list this Altaria for something like 2699 Pokeyen, and I would go ahead and add 1700 Pokeyen over on our bottom right calculator because every Pokemon costs at least 1000 Pokeyen to list, and I do subtract that from my profits. Now, profits might not exactly be the best word. We're just going to be covering the amount of Pokeyen that I gained today. And a lot of these mons can just be released. For example, this Cubchoo. It has no stats. This is from a mysterious Pokeball. And you might have been asking yourself, Patrouski, where did all these Pokemon even come from? Why did you not deal with them sooner? A lot of these were from mysterious balls for content on stream, or some of them are just breeds for profit. We have things over in these boxes, alphas that I was breeding for a Shalfa. Here's a shiny flip that I sat on for a little bit too long, and now the market has changed, and I feel like my profits won't be as good on it, unfortunately. We'll have to see how that plays out. Here was like a loop from 1 hour of Torkoal video that I ended up never unfortunately making, that I'll have to now redo based on the current state of the economy. Just a lot of things like that. Just over the years of playing, you just end up accumulating, random stuff from here or from there, and you kind of just throw it in your boxes to deal with later. Now, I'm not going to be showing you guys every single listing that I do, and the number in the bottom right-hand corner is just going to be expected profits. Obviously, the market is in an interesting spot right now, and it might take a bit more time for things to sell. I might have to relist things, or some things just might not be in demand. A good way to try to check beforehand and stop wasting that listing fee, though, is something like this Stantler. I like to double check. Often, Pokemon that are worth around, like, 2,000 or less, I just won't list. I think for the sake of this video, I think every little penny is cool to kind of count and see what's laying around in my boxes randomly. But this Stantler is a good example of, I wouldn't even list this because of this, because the start date. These have been listed. These just 0 IVs, hidden ability access. Sapsipper is a really cool ability to have on Stantler, in my opinion, but just not the most in-demand Pokemon, obviously. Not very viable in NU, unfortunately. Maybe if it was an untiered tournament, I think Sapsipper Stantler could be interesting, but even then, we're grasping at straws a little bit. This thing be lit for 27 days. This has been up for so long. I don't see this going anywhere anytime soon. These are just obviously not in demand. So checking the listing, how long something has been up for, is a really good way to judge how long yours might take to sell. So a lot of this stuff just go ahead and gets released. Also, a quick shout out to Sheesh and his 23 encounter shiny Cascoon. That is really fucking sick. And I'm glad I had that positive to talk about because, oh my goodness, dude, going through some of these prices is just making me my smile drop to a frown. You're making about 500 Pokeyen from a 31 special attack field A group Pokemon. Obviously, this has always been a lower costed, a lower priced IV. That makes sense. You do have Typhlosion in the field A group, which desperately needs 31 attack. Like, it is still relevant, even though there are less special attacking field A group Pokemon, and field A group is a very farmed A group. It's very common. I get it, right? I understand the arguments. I've been playing this game for a long time. It is still shocking to see it at this price. For many, many years, 31 special attack field A group was at around 3 to 5K, and that was like one of the cheaper, that was one of the cheaper IVs in the game for a very, very long time. And to see that now new players are essentially unable to make profits almost at all by selling these Pokemon is just, it's tough to see, man. Don't worry, this video is not going to become another ramble about the economy. I've talked about that plenty, but I think it is really important to still mention and care about the new player's experience in that way. It was cool to see that Hidden Ability Access Rufflet actually has a base price of about 3,000 Pokeyen or so, and both of these actually sold pretty quickly. Right, here's our first 2x31 sale with the 31 attack and 31 defense Arbok. I'm going to check it as a Dragon Egg Group first, which looks to be about 23,000 Pokeyen right now. Maybe if I were a little bit more patient, I probably could sell this for 27k. I might try to do that. Let's go ahead and check Field Egg Group as well, though. Normally, Dragon would be more expensive, but you do want to double check. Let's hide for female-only species because Miltank is a female-only species that will trick some players out there. Yeah, Dragon's going to be decently more expensive. We're going to sell that for a nice 20k, probably 25k profit after fee. I'm gonna go for that 27k listing. See how these have all been listed for only about 1 day, right? I'm okay with being patient. I have plenty of Pokeyen on my account. I'm not in a rush to get these funds, so it's better to take the patience and squeeze out a little bit more Pokeyen. I'm gonna end up going 26k on this one. That'll be 25,000 Pokeyen, slightly less, but just about 25k profit. Now, we have our first little wonky sale because this is a Mantike. This is a baby Pokemon. It cannot breed, and it's not considered to be in an egg group. But if we evolve it into Mantine, it'll be in the Water A egg group and be a pretty decent sale. So to evolve this, we have to level it up with a Remoraid in our party. We're going to go do that really quick. Now, this is a great example of how just playing Pokemon normally can help you find other things in the game and help you find ways to make Pokeyen. The cheapest Remoraid right now, I don't have one in my boxes, so I have to buy one to actually go evolve this Mantite, and the cheapest Remoraid is around 3,000 Pokeyen. Now, what's even more interesting is if you go to 31 special attack Remoraids, the cheapest 31 special attack Remoraid is about 25k, and all of these have been listed within 2 hours, which means they're selling pretty darn fast. The next one is 35k, a 10,000 Pokeyen gap, and it's been up for 19 hours. And then you have these ones for 40k, which obviously these are not selling nearly as quickly, if ever. They're a little bit overpriced for a 1x31, but this is really crazy to see these stats. And it's usually because I believe Remoraid gets bred with Wailmer to put Water Spout onto Blastoise. So generally that's the there's a little bit of an egg move breed chain there to keep in mind. So good example of how Pokemon knowledge can help you make Pokeyen. It sounds obvious, but it's good to call out and point out things like this when I'm just trying to price check or sell or do something else in the game. It ends up helping me find out another layer. You could even potentially just buy a bunch of basic Remoraids, get a bunch of Dittos or whatever Pokemon that you can that can breed with them with 31 special attack. If it costs you 5k per a Ditto, 10k for the Brace, and 3k for the Remoraid, that's an 18,000 Pokeyen breed, right? So if you can go ahead and go do that and then go sell them for about 25k a piece, it's not a huge profit, but that's about a 5k profit per sale after the listing fee. And then if you roll modest like this one must have, now you're looking at like 15-20k profit per a really quick simple breed. Now you cannot do that repeatedly. This is a good example. If you don't want to flood a market, you want to do this about 5 or so times, which is probably what this guy might have caught his. These are all wild caught, to be fair, by someone else, but you can do this, breed about 5 Remoraids and make about, 50k whatever profit really quickly, and then just move on to the next Pokemon. And that's a lot of what Pokemon money making is in terms of breeding for profit, looking for holes in the market. You have to understand this thought process of finding these Pokemon that are in really high demand and figuring out how you can kind of abuse that fact and help fill that supply. Now, instead of just buying a base Remoraid, I'm actually going to go ahead and buy this one with 31 speed for 15k, use it to evolve my Mantike, and then throw it back on the GTL for about 18k, making about 1,000 Pokeyen on a flip, but allowing me to squeeze out a little bit of extra Pokeyen while also just doing something I need to do. That's not a flip that I would normally recommend players going for. You don't want to tie up 15,000 Pokeyen for like a 1,000 profit, but since I needed a Remoraid anyway, why not? And here's our evolution on our Mantine. Now we can go list it and sell it as a 2x31 Mantine, which is really important because Mantine with these stats, the 31 defense and SPDEF, is pretty darn good because it is a Wally Pokemon. So I might actually want to check this as a Mantine instead of as an egg group breeder. I'm going to go ahead and list that Remoraid though first, and I'm going to count that as about 2,000 Pokeyen prof. That should be what it is. A 2x31 Mantine with those stats only goes for about 32k, and this one's been up for 13 days, so it's not looking super promising there. It probably will sell better as a breeder in the Water AA group. And honestly, it's about the same, but I'd rather sell something as an egg group breeder and have it sell much quicker than sell it as a Mantine and have it sit for potentially 2 days or 2 weeks. So since it's only like a 2,000 Pokeyen difference, I'd rather actually sell this like this and have it go a bit quicker. Now, it's really easy the longer you play PokeMMO to just get lazy and ignore extra stats like this, especially on the Ironman account where I'm used to like not really worrying about 20 plus, where I just really want those 31s. But on a main account, when you calculate in those extra 20s, it raises the price of this Baneri significantly. Without all of these 20s, this Pokemon's looking at about 4,000 Pokeyen, but with all the extra 20s across most of those stats, it ends up being about 17k. That's like a 4 times price increase by just not being lazy and making sure you add in those extra stats. Also, make sure to check those 30 stats. This seal is a really good example, especially because of the placement. It's easy to just price check this as a 31 special defense Pokemon, but it also has 30 speed and 30 defense. The fact that these stats are in those stats specifically and not mixed up in the special attack or attack, where some Pokemon may want those stats, some Pokemon may not. Every Pokemon wants defenses and speed. These are like very neutral stats that everybody could use. And this Ditto right now is listed for about 24,000 Pokeyen. I think that I could list this seal for about 24k and sell it pretty confidently. The water A group is a pretty darn good one, since things like Dragonite and tons of other good water type Pokemon are in there. I think Slowbro might be in there as well, which is really good recently since it just got access to Regenerator in PokeMMO. I'm a huge advocate of, even if you don't really care about PvP, it's so crucial to understand what's happening in the PvP metagame, at least as an outside observer. Since Slowbro just got access to Regenerator, that is a really important check to so many Pokemon in the OU tier. Its usage has gone up tremendously, and it's currently sitting at a 54% win rate. That is very, very strong. Something else that's interesting is that its usage rate is quote-unquote only at about 10%. That's still a really strong usage rate in PokeMMO for PvP. However, I think a big part of that is also because of how darn expensive hidden ability access Slowbros are. Look at this. The cheapest hidden ability access Slowbro or Slowpoke is currently 500,000 Pokeyen. I think a lot of players just don't have access to these yet to even utilize them, and that's part of why the usage rate is so low. But once again, quote-unquote low. And if you're watching this video, you probably have seen a fair bit of my videos in the past, so you probably already know this, but there are good Pokemon or like rare Pokemon that people use to shiny hunt that always have a good base value. So something like this Snivy, that's really easy to just go ahead and release lazily, once again, without thinking, can actually sell for about 7,000 Pokeyen. It's almost always good to check starter Pokemon prices as well as like rare Safari Zone things. Sometimes they have value, sometimes they don't. A lot of that can depend on whether there was a catch event recently or a swarm recently or just the current demand. If someone just finished like a shiny Mudkip hunt, for example, the market might be flooded with tons of Mudkips, hundreds of Mudkips that they don't need anymore. And that Mantine we took the time to go ahead and level up and evolve just already sold. So that's really cool to see. And next up, we are selling a Moxie Gyarados. And it's pretty crazy how expensive Moxie Gyaradoses have gotten. I want to go ahead and actually check this thing pretty closely. Let's go ahead and look for a Gyarados, look for hidden ability access, look for the cheapest one, about 30k. Ooh, this actually went down a little bit recently. These were like 50k just yesterday. Now, if I also go ahead and check like 25 plus speed, it does have that. Let's see if it makes much of a difference. I'm going to go ahead and say no. I think this is about, actually, let's check one more thing. Let's remove that and then see the listing dates. I see why these were more expensive like just the other day. Look at this. A lot of these have been listed within the past 6 hours, 1 hour, 16 hours. I feel very comfortable listing this for about 40k and just being patient and like letting it sell very slowly over time. I'm not in a rush. These have really, really high demand. If you happen to not know for whatever reason, Moxie Gyarados is generally considered, in my opinion, the best storyline Pokemon in PokeMMO by far. One Dragon Dance and you just sweep every single trainer in the entire game. Another good example of a detailed sale, I was about to sell this Teddiursa for about 2,000 Pokeyen as a Field 31A group, or sorry, Field Defense 31 IV Pokemon, but any sort of hidden ability access Teddiursa, because it has Honey Gather, it can actually help other people make more Pokeyen, go for about 7,000 Pokeyen. This 31 Swinub, this 31 attacked Swinub is also a decent example of species mattering and me being a little bit more patient on my sales as well. I could sell this for 4k as a male Field A group breeder, or I could try to sell it as a Piloswine, Swinub, Mamoswine type, because that Pokemon is in pretty high demand for both PVM, PvP, and trainer reruns. People have been using it with loaded die recently, so any 31 attack of this species goes for about 8k. I'm gonna go ahead and list it for that and be patient on that still, because I don't, once again, I don't need it to go anytime soon. I actually should also double check. I guess this one's pretty cheap. I didn't check hidden ability access on this one. I don't know how good thick fat. I guess all these are thick fat, to be fair. I'm not sure where thick fat compares to the other abilities on Mamoswine right now in PvP, but I feel confident on this 8k sale. It's really easy to look at this Deerling and just sell it as a 31 speed field A group Pokemon, but if you look, it has 20 plus in all the defenses and the HPs. A lot of people are looking for breeders like this to put 31 speed on their good Pokemon, where they have some decent 20 pluses all around. So instead of just going for the 31 speed price, this Deerling actually goes for about 17k. That is a big difference for like the 5k it might go for on just the speed IV. Honestly, I'm really impressed at how the market is valuing a lot of these 20 plus stats. I honestly had thought that's something that's kind of been forgotten over time, but it's, 31 IVs may be a bit more down, but it feels like 20 plus in more pragmatic stats. Multiple 30s are kind of up, especially 31s plus a good nature, like a 31 attack and adamant, 31 speed and jolly. Things like that are like really up in value, honestly. At least comparatively to the last time I obviously played and checked out the market like this. When I say prices are up or down, it's all based on just my anecdotal perspective, so it doesn't mean they may be up or down or feel up or down for your experience. Alrighty, here's our final sale for box 1 that should fetch me about, I'm going to do plus 20k there just to make sure I'm calculating a fair assessment. So that is an estimated 336,000 Pokeyen for selling off a full box of Pokemon that I just had a few IVs had just sitting around from random mysterious balls. I'm honestly really surprised by that. I'm actually pretty happy with that amount. I think it's pretty decently sufficient, I would say, about the Pokeyen you would make from a gym rerun, from just sitting here and processing the resources that I've been sitting on for far too long. But I'm going to move the Pokemon from cell 6 over to cell 1, and then I can actually go ahead and just get rid of this box and rename it to something like box 6 for now. And boom, that is one of our cell boxes completed, taken care of, and processed. So now we only have about 4.5 boxes to get through. All right, but I think we're going to go ahead and take our win for today. This kind of activity is so monotonous. It's so draining. I'd rather just go play the game in the ways that I enjoy, but it's also something we have to do. And it also does bring up some interesting talking points. It gives me a good mechanism for a good like shell for me to hopefully show you guys some tips, help you squeeze out some extra Pokeyen during your PokeMMO gameplay, whether you're selling things or just looking for openings in the market. But with 336,000 Pokeyen made and still 4.5 or so boxes left to sell, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'm sure I'll end up making this a little bit of a series where we do about 1 box per video and just kind of break it up over a period of time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you plopped it up on your second monitor while you ate a nice snack and played some PokeMMO in the meantime. And I hope it was once again helpful to your PokeMMO journey. That is super important to me. If it was, go ahead and leave a like on the video. That is the best way to let me know. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see PokeMMO videos almost every single day. If not every single day, I also do stream over on Twitch and here on YouTube. My Discord is down below if you're interested in that. There's a really cool community of people there who are almost always willing to answer questions, help out players, and just sort of get people into the ropes of PokeMMO. And if you're sick of hearing me say the phrase PokeMMO over and over and over again, you can go above and beyond and support the channel with YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, gifted subs, and PayPal and Venmo donations are the 2 best ways to support, as those platforms take less of your guys' money when you want to go ahead and above and beyond and support me. You guys really allow me to be here every single day, and I hope to always earn my keep. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and enjoy PokeMMO. Yo, what's up? Outro Patrouski here, and I wanted to say thank you so much to everybody's name who is on this list. You really allow me to make the content that I do every single day, and I hope I can make it worth your guys' while and add to your PokeMMO journey. Thanks again so much for watching the entire video, and have a great day.